بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا ورزقا طيبا اللهم اهدي قلبي وسدد لساني واسلل سخيمة قلبي آمين يا رب العالمين. We will review ayah number 47 to 52, which was our previous lesson, and then move on to the next one of Surah Ali-Imran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ayah number 47. These are the when Maryam alayhi salam, she receives the news that she will be giving birth to a son, and these are her words and her expressions or her amazement at this. And inshallah, we'll go over the ayah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قالت ربي أن يكون لي ولد. Maryam alayhi salam, she said, My Lord, how can I have a son? وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ, when no man has ever touched me, meaning she was not married, she had no physical relation with a man. So this was her amazement or surprise at that point. And the angel replied, Angel Jibril, who came in a form of a man to give her this news. He said, قال كذلك الله. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does stuff. This is how He does things. يخلق ما يشاء. He creates however He wills, whatever He wills, and however He wills. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need means to do things like human beings, right? And this is a difference again between creator and creation. And this is a main big drawback when it comes to our thinking, right? When the reason why anxiety and sadness and hopelessness kicks in is because we do not understand the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? We think, how will something happen? How is this possible? Right? So because of that, reason and because of that thought process, we become hopeless, we become depressed, and we start relying on people and resources. While here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and even this is a great reminder specifically in for people who are trying to have children, right, or who are trying to conceive, that here Allah subhanahu wa, it's not you can do everything perfect and be not able to conceive, and in people are giving birth even in war zones, right? So the point is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need means to bring creation into the world or to create something. إِذَا قَضَى أَمْرًا فَإِنَّمَا يَقُولُ لَهُ kun fayakun. When he decrees something, when he plans or he wills to do something, what does he do? فَيَقُولُ لَهُ kun fayakun. He just says to it, be, and it is, and it happens. So here we learn a big, great lesson that about Allah, that as a Khaliq, okay, He does not need means to create things. Ayah number 48, وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَالتَّوْرَاةَ وَالْإِنْجِيلَ. And Allah will teach him. So these are what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant Isa alayhi salam, right? So Maryam alayhi salam, she is receiving the news of birth of a son, and a preparation done for him from even before he is conceived in the womb of his mother, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already plans his education for him. It's planned by Allah that He would teach, that this son, this child of hers he will learn writing. And it is said that Isa alayhi salam was really, he had a beautiful writing, and he used to write the Torah with his own hands, and he would be given the knowledge of wal kitaba wal hikmah, and about the book itself, meaning the Torah, wa hikmah, meaning about the laws, the Sharia, the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He would be given the knowledge of that. What Torah wal
फिर
Injil,
यहाँ आता है बच्चे
of the Torah and Injil.
गार्डन खाए सके
Sorry. Okay. So he will have knowledge of the previous book, which is the Torah, and he will be given the knowledge of the book that was specifically revealed to Isa alayhi salam, which is the Injil. And it is said that because he had such immense knowledge, and knowledge is
ये भी तो तेल लग
there
रही
is something called as knowledge. We kindly request everyone to mute themselves, please. Okay. Okay, just kindly make sure that it's muted. Yeah. I was
है। एरिया तो बहुत अच्छा है।
regime. So the main
पानी है
thing
ना।
here is not that it's just knowledge, it is also wisdom. See, knowledge is one thing. And what is wisdom? Wisdom is hikmah, also refers to be able to apply knowledge. A lot of us may have a lot of knowledge of the book, but is it an application? Right? So the one who's able to apply the knowledge, even if it's little, but it's in action, this is hikmah. So there's one thing to have the knowledge, and the other thing is to be able to apply that knowledge. What does it mean to apply the knowledge? Meaning that knowledge should lead a person towards Allah. They should be involved in ibadah. They should be involved in righteous actions. This is the knowledge that is in action. Okay, ayah number 49. وَرَسُولٌ وَرَسُولًا إِلَى بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. He will be, Isa alayhi salam would be a messenger to the Bani Israel. أَنَّ قَدْ جِئْتُكُمْ بِآيَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. And as a messenger to Bani Israel, and I have come to, and he would say that I have come to you as a sign from your Lord. What is a sign? Firstly, his miraculous birth is a sign. And also, again, going to the back to the time of Isa alayhi salam, this was a time of medical advancement. And because of that, firstly, his miraculous birth was something that defied norms of science, basically, right, at that time, or even at this, in any time. The miraculous birth defied biology in that sense, right? In regular birth requires a man and a woman to be present for the sperm and the egg for a child to be conceived. So that's one, right? This is an ayah. Then what are these things? So first, his birth is a miracle, and then it is then the things that he did, that Allah, by the izn of Allah, which were miraculous. Anna أخلق لكم من الطين, and he would create from the clay كهيئة الطير. He would create the likeness, or like a bird from clay. فأنفق فيه فيكون طير بإذن الله. Then he would breathe into it the soul, and it would become a bird or become alive by the permission of Allah. Okay, again, bi'idhnillah is important. He everything that he performed was by the permission of Allah. Wa ubri'ul akmaha, and he would cure the blind. Wa abrasa wa uhyi, and first he would heal the blind that is blinded since birth. Okay, so this is a disease that would be someone who's born blind. He would cure that. Again, in that time, there was, even though there was medical advancement, but people could not cure some. They were learning to use medicine and bring cure, but not this. And he would cure abrasa. Abrasa is leprosy, basically a skin and nervous disease. وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, and he will raise the dead to life by the permission of Allah. Then what are the other miracles? وَأُنَبِّئُكُم بِمَا تَأْكُلُونَ. Then he would tell people when they would come to his gatherings that what they ate for lunch or whatever. In his majlis, you could tell before coming what they ate. وَمَا تَدَّخِرُونَ fi buyutikum, and whatever they saved, or whatever is in their pantry at home, whatever food is left over at home. So these are from the miracles of Isa alayhi salam. Inna fi dhalika la'ayatan lakum in kuntum mu'minin. These are signs for the people if you are truly believers, or if you truly believe. Okay, again, these are the mu'jizat, these are signs and miracles for people who want to take heed, right? But what was the reaction of the Bani Israel? Very few of them believed. Okay, they rejected, even though the signs were obvious. Still, it did not affect their hearts. Okay, when the hearts are hardened, when the hearts don't want guidance, then no matter how much guidance is given or shown, Quran is also an ayah. Quran is a miracle for the people. But why, when when people listen, or when people are exposed to the Quran, still there's no difference in their action, because only the one who wants to be guided will be guided. You have to have the wish to be guided. وَمُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيَّ مِنَ التَّوْرَاةِ and I will confirm, this is Isa alayhi salam, I will confirm the Torah revealed before me, meaning it is also from Allah, a book from Allah. و- وأحل لكم بعض الذي حرم عليكم, and I will make things halal for you that were previously haram. Okay, and again, because of the constant disobedience of Bani Israel, certain things were made haram on them, which were generally halal. So in this case, for example, they could not consume fat of an animal, they could not consume birds with claws, and so on. And there are a few other things. So he made them halal. Basically, people could consume them, and they were made specifically haram for the Bani Israel at the time of Musa alayhi salam. وَجِئْتُكُمْ بِآيَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, and I have come to you with a sign from your Lord. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُونَ. So be mindful of Allah and obey me. Okay, so here he did not, Isa alayhi salam did not come with a new Sharia. It's the same as Musa alayhi salam, right? Belief in one, same aqidah, same Sharia, meaning same laws and same belief system as Musa alayhi salam and all the prophets, which is belief in one God and belief in the messenger, and that. And the difference between Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam in their coming was almost 2,000 years. And during these times, actually, the Yahud, what the original laws of the Torah, the Bani Israel had changed them a lot between these almost 2,000 years. So Isa salam reiterated the previous laws, okay, and also made some ease, brought some ease for them in certain laws, which were certain things which were forbidden were made halal for them. Okay, and again, Isa alayhi salam was the last resort for Bani Israel, after which the next prophet that came to them was from Bani Ismail, which is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So essentially, Isa alayhi salam was their last chance, okay, to turn back and repent to Allah. Ayah number 51, Inna Allah Rabbi wa Rabbukum fa'buduhu. The essential message here is that Allah is my Rabb and your Rabb. Okay, which is again negates the whole concept of Isa alayhi salam being God or son of God, right? We don't the Islam does not, it negates that, it's against the teachings of Islam, and this is what the Christians believe. So this is the essential thing that Isa alayhi salam himself is saying. They proclaim that I'm not, whatever they claim divinity with him. So he is not. Allah is the Rabb. Fa'buduhu. What does who should be worshipped? Allah and only Allah alone. Hada siratun mustaqim. This is the right path. This is the straight path. This is the only path. All other paths lead to destruction. And this is the only path that leads to success. If a person wants to be successful, if one person wants to have a successful life in dunya, and of course in the akhirah, the only path is the path that leads to Allah. How do you know what to follow? The Quran and the Sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so you see here, Isa alayhi salam is clearly and truthfully delivering the message with a lot of clarity. Again, you see, one of the things about Isa alayhi salam was he was extremely eloquent. So, very clearly, he put it across. He put the point across. Despite of doing all of these miracles, the miracles were attributed to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Only by His permission, he was able to do what he did. And end of the day, he's like, my only goal is worshiping Allah, and my goal is, my mission is to deliver the message that has been given to me. Ayah number 52, فَلَمَّا أَحَسَّ عِيسَى مِنْهُمُ الْكُفْرَ. When Isa alayhi salam, he felt some kind of disbelief or treachery from the people against him, right? Again, the people turn against him despite the miracles. Sometimes not just because they wanted to reject Allah, but also because of jealousy and envy, right? Because of all the qualities that he was given with. And sometimes the heart accepts, knows the truth, but the mind doesn't want to accept it because of various worldly reasons. Okay, so when he sensed that, and because he was, and he felt the growing enmity and negativity around him, right? Again, this is also teaching us, ayah number 2 is teaching us about being in group as believers. As believers, this is essential for our iman. Okay, this is so important, right? For our iman is to be among a group and have friends, have a support system that is righteous. If you are alone, if you stay isolated and do not have believing friends with you, or your group of friends is not believing, this is a way to destruction. Attack of shaitan is so easy, right? And it's just a general rule of thumb, united people stand, divided people fall, right? This is the major thing in this is the rule of the dunya. It same applies to our deen as well, right? That when people are together, when people are in a group, and as inshallah bismillah, we have our Surah Al-Kahf course, and the first thing that the challenge of iman, you will learn different stories. The first trial that people go through is faith, iman. What was the solution for it? The people of the cave, they are people. They're a group of people. They're not alone in a cave. So as a group, they're together. And that's the way to protect faith. Your iman is so important. Things like people shouldn't be isolated. Even small things like do not spend too much time alone in your rooms. These things, because a person is being alone is very, person is very easily attacked by shaitan. So as much as possible, try to be alone. Should be only for the time of purpose of worship. When you're doing ibadah is when you should be alone and do. Sometimes this is important too, that alone time with Allah, right? But other than that, young people, even old people, everyone should be among righteous company. So when he sensed this, what did he say? He looked for sincere people. He wanted his group. He wanted his people. So what did he say? قَالَ مَنْ أَنصَارِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. Who is my helper towards Allah? Meaning, who will help me in the work of the deen of Allah? Okay, and he wanted sincere people. Again, few sincere people, few righteous people, even one righteous friend, two righteous friends are better than a group of people who are insincere and not on deen. Okay, so we should not aim to seek lot of friends. Rather, we should also make dua for sincere people to be with us, so for sincere friends to be with us, even if they're few, but they're like gold, right? So among them, قال حواريون نحن أنصار الله. Among them were people, Hawari. Hawari means disciple, comes from Hur, meaning they were pure. Hur comes from white, so purity of the heart. Some say they used to dress in white, and some scholars say that. They said, نحن أنصار الله. We are the helpers of the deen of Allah. آمنا بالله واشهد بأننا مسلمون. That we believe in Allah, so bear witness, we have submitted to Allah. Who were these Hawari? It said there were 12 people among the people that he called upon. And these were people who are the Ansarullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need people, right? As we were doing, he doesn't need people, he doesn't need resources to propel the deen forward, to spread the deen, right? But here, right, it said that this term Ansarullah, helpers of Allah, meaning helpers of the deen of Allah, it is an honorable title that Allah gave, and these people were proud to have this title. Imagine being called the Ansarullah, the helpers of the deen of the creator of this universe, the highest title that a person can receive. Right? People want to have the titles of a CEO, a manager, want to excel, different things, but a person can easily get a title to be a helper of the deen of Allah. Okay, and these Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned these few people because of their eagerness, their eagerness to support the deen, and even during the time of great hostility. It's one thing to support when everyone's doing it, when something is popular, when something is up and coming, and some organization is out there and very popular. Everyone wants to volunteer, everyone wants to go there, and it's great. I mean, if every as long as it's for the deen of Allah. But a lot of times people can have ulterior motives to it, because something that is upcoming and growing, and you can have uh, dunyavi benefits out of it. But having sincere, again, it's all based on intention. The person's intention is to support the deen of Allah. It doesn't matter which place it is, but to support the deen whenever the call comes. Okay, and this is the quality of the Hawari in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we discussed this in the great detail in our previous class, that who were the Ansarullah. Ansarullah were the Ansar. The people, when Prophet migrated to Medina, these people received the title Ansarullah. Ansar. These are the people, the Muhajirin, the people who migrated from Mecca to Medina, and the people of Medina were called the Ansar. So similar to that, the helpers of the deen of Allah, and how they helped Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ was in a hostile condition in Mecca, and he used to call people out in the public. Who is going to help me? Who's going to support the deen? Who's going to do that? And when he migrated, he received his Ansar, right? And among them, again, we learned last time that one Sahabi himself, he was called the Hawari from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, every prophet comes, has a Hawari, has a helper, and my helper is Az-Zubair bin Awam. Okay, and he called him his Hawari, his helpers, his supporter. Okay, so what should we strive towards? That we should strive to be helper of the deen of Allah, whenever, wherever, however. Okay, whenever, anyway, right? Because this is the Sirat al-Mustaqim. This is the way that leads to the pleasure of Allah. And what was their dua? The Hawari said, "Rabbana amanna bima anzalta." Our Lord, we believe in your revelation. So what is the first thing? Iman. Iman, belief in the book. Okay. وَاتَّبَعْنَا الرَّسُولِ, and we follow the messenger. Now, second thing is action, following the messenger. فَاكْتُبْنَا مَعَ الشَّاهِدِينَ, so count us among those who bear witness. Okay, after Iman, the next hymn, which is lazim on a person, which is obligatory on a person, is action. Okay, so what needs to be done when a person has Iman, when the heart is seeking Allah? The next thing is, what can I do? What should I do? What next should I do? Right? And action in, as we learn from the story of Maryam alayhi salam, it is in kunut, action that is constant despite of changing things in your life. Constant obedience to Allah. You consistently do it despite whatever is happening in your life. Despite difficulties, despite, because this is that way of dunya, right? Life is gonna change. Things are gonna, circumstances will change at every second, whether it's financially, whether it's physical health, whether it's emotional health. Things are going around, and that should not, the person with Iman should not falter from, they stayed consistent. Okay, this is very important. Things happen, people come, people leave. It's summer, in winter, it's break. It doesn't matter. For a believer, all seasons are same, all effort are same. In fact, believers' actions should be diverse kind of good deeds, and only not a Ramadan believer, or not only in special days on Zulhijjah. No, those are days to take even maximum benefit. But those are days that prepare you for the rest of the year. So you continue that. Ramadan comes to train you for the next 11 months, right? So we're not seasonal believers. We're believers that are throughout the year and until the end of our life. So whatever is happening, our action should be, and we should strive. It will go up and down. Iman goes up and down, but we should strive to be consistent and committed with what we do. Okay, and so they said, we first we believe, we follow the messenger, so write us among the witness, so bear that know that we're among the followers of our Rasul. Okay, so I number so okay, I number 54. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ. The disbelievers plan, وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ, and Allah planned. Here, makaru is negative. Makar means secret plotting. But when it's used for Allah, makarullah, okay, here it's this one is for positive. Whenever we associate anything with Allah, it's positive. Well, here with the disbelievers here, they're doing negative, while Allah is doing positive. It's turning against their plans. So they plotted, they had a secret plot, and then Allah had a plan. Okay, so first, what was the thing? There was a growing envy and hatred towards Isa alayhi salam. He performed different miracles and called people towards belief in only one God. He challenged the corrupt leaders of Bani Israel who had twisted the Torah, and they were misleading people. This sparked jealousy, anger, and fear of losing authority and influence because he was becoming popular too. Isa alayhi salam. So the Bani Israel started to plot with the Roman authorities. Okay, their religious leader of the Bani Israel accused Isa alayhi salam of blasphemy. Meaning they said they started saying that Isa alayhi salam is claiming divinity, and he was not. So they started putting a religious, so this is a very, very dangerous thing to do, is to start putting doubts in the hearts of people against the character of a person. And there's in Islam, there's a great punishment. This is called slander. Okay? Backbiting and slander of a person. When you put false accusation about a person's character to create doubts in the hearts of people. So this is what they started doing. They started doing that. Then they took him to the religious leader could not do anything. They had to go through the Roman court. They plotted to have him arrested and executed by the Roman authorities. Under the Roman rule, the Jews could not carry out capital punishment themselves, meaning could not get him killed. So they planned to get him killed by discrediting his prophethood, ending his message, and trying to humiliate him in front of his followers. This was their makr. Wa makar Allah, and what was Allah's plan? Okay, Allah's plan was that he was to be, Isa alayhi salam was to be, his message was to be preserved, his name to be cleared, right? All the things that allegations against him were to be cleared, his message preserved, and Isa alayhi salam to be raised. Okay, there's again miracle to be raised into the heavens alive and being replaced by someone of his resemblance. So Isa alayhi salam, again, our belief versus the beliefs of the Christians, we do not believe that Isa alayhi salam was crucified. He was put in, but he was replaced by a person who resembled him in physical outlook. And that person was the one who was killed. Okay, so this was the divine plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is said the person's name was Judas Iscariot, who actually betrayed Isa alayhi salam and was made to resemble him, and he was instead crucified. Isa alayhi salam was raised, and he would be brought back. In this world, he will actually follow the Sharia of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and actually it's so amazing. He's actually the only prophet who gets to learn the Torah, have the Injil, and come back and learn the Quran. This is amazing about Isa alayhi salam. It is said that he will come back in the world and live in this world, follow the Sharia of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, believe him to be the last messenger, right? Isa alayhi salam coming does not negate the seal of the prophethood by Prophet sallam. He will believe that Prophet sallam is the last prophet, and he will live alive. He will defeat Dajjal, and he will die as he will get a natural death, like how human beings die. So he is not dead at this point. Ayah number 55 is قال الله ya Isa. Remember when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Oh Isa, inni mutawaffika, I will take you وَرَافِعُكَ and raise you إِلَيَّ up to myself. Inni mutawaffika. Mutawaffi is to take you with your body and soul. Okay? And so one meaning is Isa alayhi salam, and we know that he was taken in his body and his soul. Right? What happens to people when they die? So the body remains, the soul leaves, departs this world. Normal death. Isa alayhi salam mutawaffika. Okay, he is taken with the body and the soul. Okay. And the second meaning of mutawaffika is that Allah is saying, I'm going to put you to sleep from here to the heavens. Meaning, the transition between when he traveled from the earth to the heavens, he was put to sleep during that time, right? Uh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best how that happened, and then he's up in the heavens. Okay, so and warafi'uka and raise you. Okay, also another meaning of raise is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated Isa alayhi salam in terms of not just physically, he was elevated physically, but also his name was elevated. All the allegations were removed from him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored him. وَمُطَهِّرُكَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would um, deliver you from those who disbelieve. He would purify you from all the allegations that people put on Isa alayhi salam. وَجَعَلُوا الَّذِينَ وَجَعَلُوا الَّذِينَ تَبَعُوكَ فَوْقَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. And I will elevate your followers above the disbelievers until the day of judgment. Okay, meaning the righteous people will be above the disbelievers. And this is the rule of the world, of the dunya that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates. Always the righteous people are above the disbelievers. Even if in the worldly terms, they're below. Even in the worldly terms, they're starving. Even in worldly terms, they don't have the money and the power. They're still above the disbelievers, because Iman elevates a person in the sight of Allah. You see, people have, even after not eating for days, for starving for days, people have the strength to keep fighting, to keep going. Right? And even at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muslims were starving, the Muslims were hungry for days, and they were fighting in the battles. This iman is the one that gives strength. So we learned that for a believer, only physical things like food and water are not the source of strength. People are perfectly healthy, they're working out, they have the most balanced meals, and everything is perfect, perfect number of hours of sleep, and still they're declining. Still, they're physically, mentally declining because there's no Iman. Iman is number one when it comes to this. Of course, other things person should take care of, but number one is Iman, their connection with their Rabb, the purpose of the life. You don't have purpose, what are you doing what you're doing? What is a person living for? A person has no purpose, they have no goal, right? So here Allah SWT says that the believers will be, and the followers of Isa alayhi salam would be over the disbelievers until the Yawm al-Qiyamah, and on Yawm al-Qiyamah. ثم إلي مرجعكم, and then to me you all will return. فأحكم بينكم فيما كنتم فيه تختلفون. And then I will tell you, I will settle all your disputes, all the ikhtilaf you used to have about, all the disputes about the birth of Isa. People have dispute, he'd be born with only a mother, his prophethood, that he was a prophet. People had disputes, and they put allegations on that. Then his death, there's the greatest dispute among people. How did he die? Did he not die? Of course, our belief is that he did not die, right? He's been raised. But Allah subhanahu on the day of judgment will bring clarity to people. Okay? So Allah subhanahu gave Isa alayhi salam rank despite all allegations, all rejections, all criticism, and he removed this, he purified him from this. So a lesson for us is, when a person is on truthful, when a person is truthful, when a person is on the right path, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there will be temporary difficulty, and that's a test. Allah subhanahu wants to see how this person if your person claims iman, how is he going to prove the iman? Right? It's not, and proving iman is through challenges, through difficulty, through trials, and Allah subhanahu will elevate and defend that person. Number 56. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, as for those who disbelieve, فَأُعَذِّبُهُمْ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ, I will subject them to severe punishment in this life and the hereafter. And في الدنيا والآخرة وما لهم من ناصرين, and in the hereafter they will have no helpers. So those people who reject Allah and His Rasul, okay, what is their punishment? They will have the azab in dunya, and this azab might not be in a physical sense. Not always there is a physical punishment. Sometimes the punishment can be intangible, meaning something you cannot feel or see, or basically something you cannot touch, right? Intangible. For example, what are the punishment of people who reject? Okay, people who reject, what does it mean? Firstly, who reject? Kafaru does not only mean that someone who's a complete disbeliever. People could be Muslims, but still reject the commands of Allah by following their desires. Okay, what are the consequences? Ma'ishatun danqa, that is tightness of the heart or tightness of life. Ma'isha comes from aish or aish, which is life. So tightness of life becomes hard despite having all the resources. Person is earning good, they have money income coming in the house. Still, they're always complaining, my expenses are not being met. It's difficult. It's difficult. And people around us are surprised, subhanAllah, like you have, mashallah, a lot of resources and things coming in. Still, there is complaint. This is ma'ishatun danka. There is no barakah in life. Okay? And restlessness. One other punishment in the dunya, where people are restless. Despite having everything, achieve everything, there is restlessness there's no peace or contentment of the heart. Then hirs or extreme desires for things. The desire is never ending. I want more, 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 more. It's actually a punishment from Allah when you're unsatisfied. Okay, and again, tying back, basically, this all comes from lack of contentment of the heart. Contentment of the heart is not tied to resources or things that are great in the life. Contentment of the heart is tied to the connection with Allah. Okay. That does not mean that a person should not have things of the dunya. But the thing is, and should not, the Sahabas were rich and they were some they had hundreds of camels of goods. They were, great, businessmen and everything. But the point was their earnings or their thing was for the sake of Allah. They wanted to have these resources, and because they wanted to use in the way of Allah to have a better life for themselves and the people around, to benefit the deen of Allah. So a person can acquire things in life, but they should know that these things are not going to make them happy. Happiness is not tied to this. Okay, this is in fact, if a person is still restless and unhappy, means that this is an adab of Allah on that person. So a person should check that, is my connection with Allah weak? Because that could be the reason of, even if person is having everything and still they're unhappy. Again, things are not going to make a person happy. That's just the general rule of life. But the main thing, even when resources are lacking, when things are not great, relationships are not great, things are not going as is, but a person still, the heart is content, meaning this contentment comes from Allah and not from people or things. So, and they could have physical punishments too, like or any kind of physical, tangible or intangible punishment of the dunya. Well, وَالْآخِرَةِ وَمَا لَهُم مِّن نَاصِرِينَ, and they will not have any helper in the akhirah. No one to help them, no one to fall back, no one to rely on. Even in dunya, we think about all the things we want to have set. We need to have this much money in our bank account. We need to have these many investments done, or these many people in our life. So whenever things go bad, we have something to fall upon. Of course, reliance should be on Allah, not for this. But in the akhirah, nothing will help. No resources. Only thing that a person will take with them is their good deeds, and that is it. Ayah number 57. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, and as for those who believe, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, again, iman and action. Iman and no action is of no use, because that's not real iman. And actions, good actions. Some people are really good in dunya, but they have no iman. Then they will get the result of the good in this dunya. There are a lot of um, non-Muslims who are really good, who are very nice people, who are very helpful, who were very generous, but they don't have iman. They don't have belief in God. So essentially, who are they doing the good deeds? You can talk to them and have a conversation, and the answer end of the day will spiral back to their own self, because they want to make themselves happy by doing good to others. So they're doing for themselves, and really there's no God, right? There's no, so then those actions are also, they will get the reward of that in the dunya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just. If they do good, they'll get the reward in the dunya, but nothing for the hereafter. So what goes together? Iman with righteous deeds. Okay. فَيُوَفِّيهِمْ أَجُورَهُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they will be rewarded in full. Ajr, the word ajr means to pay back someone in full for something. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just, He will pay back people in the dunya, and of course in the akhirah, the one who has iman and righteous deeds. Wallahu la yuhibbul zalimin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like people who do wrong, wrongdoers. Zulm. What is zulm? Is to take the right of others. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like zalimin, then He can never now be deprive people of their reward. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that those who have right iman and righteous deeds, they will get reward in full in the world. In the world, in sense of what it doesn't mean that in always in resources, physical resources. It means especially the iman and the contentment of the heart, the thing that we spoke about in the previous ayah. And in the hereafter, of course, reward in the sense of pleasure of Allah and the ultimate happiness of Jannah. Ayah number 58. ذَلِكَ نَتْلُوهُ عَلَيْكَ مِنَ الْآيَاتِ. We recite all of this to you, O Prophet, مِنَ الْآيَاتِ, as one of the signs. وَذِكْرِ الْحَكِيمِ, and as a wise reminder. So all of these things, all of these are the ayat of all of these things that these are stories told to the Prophet, and this Quran is called the Zikr, al-Zikr al-Hakim. Okay, why is Quran called the Zikr? Meanings of Zikr. Zikr means reminder, remembrance, nasiha meaning advice. Okay, and another meaning of Zikr could be it could be meant this way is honor. So the one who recites the Quran, who learns the Quran, firstly they're reminded about who? About Allah, about the Akhirah. Number two, Quran is an advice for people, nasiha. It tells people what to do and what to not do. Is the best advice. Then Quran gives izzah, honor to people. And next, Quran brings a person closer to Allah. And all of this, again, Quran recitation with learning, understanding the book of Allah, understanding the ayat of Allah, not just simply reading. This is great, reading. We should recite the Quran, but we should also be reciting with understanding. Ayah number 59. Inna mathala Isa, the example of Isa, in the sight of Allah, kamathali Adam, is like the example of Adam. Okay, again for ayah number 59, going back, and we did this as we started Surah Ale-Imran. We did this background of the surah. Okay, this surah was revealed in Amul Wufud, meaning year of delegations. This is 9th Hijri. Okay, and this is the year of delegations. This is after post conquest of Makkah. Many tribes around, they were getting to know. First, they were seeing which side will win. And then when they saw that the Prophet ﷺ, and they had conquered Mecca, and now different tribes started coming to him, trying to pledge their allegiance, declare their iman, or give him support. Okay, during um during that time, and this surah إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا. The people came into the deen in afwaja, like armies, like groups, big groups, right? This was a time when people were accepting Islam, different delegations all around. Okay, so at that time, a delegation from a place called Najran, these were Christians, they came. And Christians, again, the basic misconception was that Isa alayhi salam, na'uzubillah, is God or son of God. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them that and they misinterpreted the kalima. Isa alayhi salam is called the kalima, the word of Allah. So they think that the kalima meaning a part of God. They're misinterpreting the word. Okay, and so here Allah is saying that Isa is like, the example of Isa alayhi salam is like Adam alayhi salam. Okay, خلقه من تراب, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him from dust. ثم قال له كن فيكون, and said to him, be, and he was. Meaning Adam alayhi salam was created from clay, and by the permission of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blew soul into him, and he started to speak, he started to move, and he started to speak. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can create Adam alayhi salam without a mother and a father, then he can create Isa alayhi salam without a father. Okay, these are good again examples, and if a person engages in a dialogue with any people from the people of the book, and especially the Christians, these are the ayat you have to refer to and speak about. Ayah number 60, Al-haqqu min rabbik, fala takum min al-mumtarin. This is the truth from your Lord, so do not be one of those who doubt. Meaning, don't be among those who doubt. And this is again, people, what happens is that Allah is the source of all truth. All truth comes from Allah, and the truth meaning, what does it mean comes from Allah? Meaning His book and following the messenger. So what is our source of all truth? Our source of truth is the Quran. There are people who are like seekers of truth. They want a philosophy and whatnot, and they're very well read, and they're everything. They've read so many books, and they're still confused. Okay, so most people, and you will notice too, most people around us, even some Muslims, right? They're in doubt and confusion. What is the source of the doubt? Is lack of knowledge of the deen, because Quran brings clarity in thought. If you know from your own experience, as you start learning the book, things start becoming clear in life. Think of your life before Quran, before learning the book seriously versus learning the book, and the more you learn, the more things become clearer in life, whether it's your personal life, professional life, whether you're out there at workplace, in school, with children, at home, with spouse, of different relation, things start becoming more clearer, and it starts becoming more easy what you want to do and what you should do, or what you want versus what you should. What Allah tells, you can differentiate between where you're going wrong, what is just your desire. So the more a person, and you have to, of course, a person should want to have guidance and should be sincere. As long as a person, then things will start becoming clear. Okay, then فَلَا تَكُمْ مِنَ الْمُمْتَرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not be those who become lost. So what is the reason people become lost? It's following their desires. Following out their desires and whatever, and following what other people say. Okay, so we should always seek, even if we seek advice, especially should be rooted in the deen. Should seek advice from people, or even if you're seeking advice from people, they should be well learned, well versed, especially things about our lives and decisions about our life, because those advice should be coming from, rooted in the deen and from the Quran and from the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, ayah number 61. فَمَنْ حَاجَّكَ فِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ. Now, whoever disputes with you, O Prophet, concerning Isa alayhi salam. So here Allah was saying that even after having full knowledge, min al-ilmi, having full knowledge about Isa alayhi salam. Now everything has become clear. What has become clear? Wait just a minute. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So everything here has become clear about Isa alayhi salam, concerning his birth, concerning his prophethood, concerning his death. Okay. So even after having full knowledge, it has come to you. Then Allah, what is Allah subhanahu has is commanding the Prophet, فَقُلْ, and say, تعالوا, come, ندعو أبناءنا وأبناءكم ونساءنا ونساءكم. Let us gather our children and your children and our women and your women. Okay, وأنفسنا وأنفسكم, ourselves and yourself. Okay, so basically, Allah is commanding the Prophet to tell this delegation or these people that everything is clear. Even after this, you reject. I'll bring my people. You bring your people. Okay, and then ثم نبتهل, and let us sincerely invoke نبتهل فنجعل لعنة الله على الكافرين, and let us call Allah's curse upon the liars. Actually, this practice and this thing, this is only for this situation. Basically, when the truth has come and still the other party is in disbelief or rejecting, then you call on Allah to invoke curse on the liars. By the way, we're not allowed to do that. If two people are not agreeing, we can't say, okay, I'm going to call Allah's curse on whoever is liar among the liars. Okay, there's only situation based and told at the time of the Prophet. This thing is called mubahala. Nabatahil comes from mubahala. It is an invocation of Allah's curse upon the liars. This is a specific event that took place between the Prophet and the Christian delegation from Najran. So after the Prophet presented the truth to them regarding Isa alayhi salam, that he's a servant of Allah and a messenger of Allah, and he's not divine, they still rejected it despite the clear proofs, and they asked for time to discuss among themselves. They're like, can you give us some time? We're going to go and discuss, thing. So next day, the Prophet came out with his closest family members, and to do this mubahala, meaning calling Allah's curse upon the liars. One of the Christian priest among them, he advised his group. He said, this man is truly a prophet. If we engage in this kind of mubahala, meaning calling Allah's curse, we will be destroyed. Not just us, but even our descendants as well. It is better to make, because he knew about the Prophet from their book, right? So he said, it is better to make peace with him, pay the jizya. So basically, uh, whoever in the rule of the Islamic State was that people, even if people do not believe, like from the Jews and Christians, and they still want to stay, they have to pay taxes, jizya. Okay, so they said, let's stay and pay jizya and avoid confrontation. So some people did believe among them, but majority did not. So, but they decided to stay peacefully, because so they agreed and chose peace, avoiding mubahala, and some members of a delegation eventually accepted Islam. Okay. Ayah number 62. Inna hadha lahu al-qasas al-haq. Certainly this is a true narrative. وَمَا مِن إِلَهٍ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. There is no God worthy of worship except Allah. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Indeed, Allah is almighty and all wise. Okay, so this whole story, this whole narration about all of this. This is the truth. And going back to and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has authority over everything, is all wise, and He is the creator, and everything else is the creation. Okay, going back to this delegation again, this was explained at the very beginning of the surah. But going back again, the delegation of Najran, these people, there were 60 horsemen, and among them were 14 leaders among them, and they were on top of these 14 leaders were three more. They were a very organized team. Okay, they had top person, then 300, then 1400, then the other horsemen, like that. Okay, so this is just information extra. Among them, the main people was number one. His name was Aqib. He was called Abdul Masih. He was the head and the chief decision maker. Second was, his name was As-Sayyid, who was the political leader among them. And third was Abu Haritha al-Alqama, who was their bishop, meaning their priest. Okay, so Abu Haritha, who was their bishop or the priest, was well versed in the scriptures, and he recognized the signs of the prophet from the previous book. But despite knowing the truth, he didn't accept Islam due to his status and reverence among people, because he was highly regarded. He didn't want to lose that status. Same, the same thing about like the Bani Israel, the Jews. What they didn't, their leaders did not want to lose their high status, even while knowing the truth, they did not accept. So he feared losing his position. And this can happen in our situations too, that we do not follow the commands of Allah because we fear losing something worldly. Whether it's our status, what will people think of us if I pray in public, or things like that. So some kind of level, or people, especially peer pressure, friends. What will my friends think if I do that? What will my family members? What will my spouse think? So all of these things, and because of that, people let go of the deen of Allah. Okay, so um, um, these people, this delegate, this is, by the way, all of this is narrated from Ibn Ishaq. He was the main narrator of Sirah. The Sirah that we have nowadays, the life of the Prophet ﷺ, is from Ibn Ishaq. He's a scholar. Okay, so from him, this is a story we get. These people, they entered Masjid Nabawi at the time of Asr, like this delegation, dressed in rich ceremonial clothing, like there's their Christian long thobes and things like that. Okay, the Sahaba noted that they had never seen any delegation appear with such strength and dignity, because the way. So this is also important. The way a person dresses shows a lot about the person. This is why some people are, why should we dress this way? Muslims should be dressed elegantly. It has an effect before even people speak, the way you look. So the Sahabas were looking at them, and this was sort of cool to look at people dressed up in such. It created a kind of strength of them. Okay, when it was time for the Christians to pray, they faced Mashriq, meaning the east, and began to pray their prayer in the masjid. The Prophet then told the companions, leave them and let them pray. Again, great lesson, right? What did the Prophet do with the people of the book? He even let them pray inside the Masjid Nabawi. Okay, so they claimed that Isa alayhi salam was God, or the Son of God. One of their main arguments was that he used to bring the dead back to life. So that's why he's God. But we learned from these ayat again, these all negate whatever their beliefs were. These all ayats, that they were that Isa alayhi salam, all of what he did was from the permission of Allah. Ayah number 63. فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ بِالْمُفْسِدِينَ. If they turn away, then surely Allah has perfect knowledge of the corrupters. Who are the mufsid? Who is a corrupter? Who creates fasad? Mufsid comes from fasad, meaning corruption. The one who turns away is the one from deen, is the one who creates fasad. Okay, and why is this fasad happening? When people know the truth and they still turn away from the deen. This is when fasad happens in the earth. Which is then a lot of destruction happens on the earth. There's a lot of killing, there's a lot of zulm, there's a lot of oppression, because when people know the truth and they still choose to turn away because of their desires. So main crux from today's lesson, actually, with all the things that we learned about Isa alayhi salam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, defending his all the claims and everything, is the fact that the one who turns away from deen is the one who is lost, the one who is corrupted, the one who is away from Allah's mercy. These are the people. And what is the major reason for turning away from the deen? Is a person's desires. This is as simple as that. When a person claims to have iman, it needs to be in action. And no amount of knowledge is going to make a person righteous. Knowledge with action, that is the main thing. Iman with action, knowledge with action. Knowledge will increase iman as long as a person wants to apply it into their life. Many people think, I already know this. I know this surah. I know this thing. Many young people claim that they know a lot. But the main thing is it in your action? Surah Kahf, for example. What is this in your action? Surah Ale-Imran, is it in your action? That's true knowledge. So what we should strive for and ask Allah when we make this dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an. What is ilman nafi'an, knowledge that is beneficial. We just don't want ilm. We're not asking, what is the dua? We don't ask, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilm. No, we want knowledge that is nafi'an. That's more important than the knowledge itself, that the beneficial knowledge. So knowing all of this, what is a change in a person's life? Okay. All right. Inshallah, bismillah, we will end our lesson for today. Please, one very important announcement. This Friday, we're having our course, Surah Al-Kahf. Can you share the file, please? So, sisters, please, you're encouraged to attend this course. It's just a 4-week course. It's very condensed, right? And it's 2 hours, 4 weeks. And we'll be learning Surah Al-Kahf and also examples from Prophet's life. How was Prophet in terms of his character, his akhlaq, different examples from his life. So the main thing about the main focus, so this surah can be taught in, it's so comprehensive, it can be, but the main focus for us in this surah will be how to recognize the trials and the things that are happening in our life. Because all the 4 trials of faith and power and knowledge and wealth that are mentioned in this thing, each one of us is going through at least one of them. And the main thing is the greatest, how Allah SWT says that, that Allah SWT will make azab of dunya is when a person is unable to recognize that they're in a trial. The first step is to recognize the problem that a person is in. And again, Quran gives you clarity. So our goal from this course is to equip ourselves with ways to recognize which trial or trials am I in and what is the solution out of it. Right? Iman, big trial of faith or Iman is that slowly it's going away, you don't even realize. Okay, big trial of knowledge is that you're getting knowledge, but you're becoming arrogant about it. You're becoming prideful. See, and you don't even know about it. Suddenly you have this pride and you start looking down on people and you're not even able to recognize that. Okay. And about authority, you're lacking the power that you add. And with that power, slowly you're starting oppressing people and you're not even realizing it. And same with wealth. You become so hungry and you want to acquire. You're like so, you know, you're praying, you're doing this, but you're also loving the job that you're at and you want to just get more and more and more. You're not even realizing. So the point is that we want to recognize things which are going hidden in our life. So each one of us can address the problem before it's too late. And again, these are the 4 trials that come with the coming of Dajjal. He will target people and nations and starting from the basic unit as a family. So from households to society to nations and to the world as a whole with 4 things. With knowledge, Dajjal will be the most knowledgeable. People will be impressed by his knowledge. Things with AI and things that are happening, we don't even know. Controlling of knowledge, what information is going through. And we can see through social media, subhanAllah, how things are filtered, how things are controlled, what information is getting to the world is being controlled, right? So things like that. Wealth, abundance of we have so much wealth, we have food to feed more than double people of the dunya right now, but there are places where people are being starved. So abundance of wealth. And these are things that inspire. Knowledge inspire people, abundant faith, iman. So shaitan attacks even through righteousness. You have a lot of knowledge of in the closer to from the saying of the Sahabi, closer to the end of times, there'll be a lot of speakers. Okay. Kathiran khutaba'u, meaning many people who give khutbas, but qalilan ulama'u. Very few people are actually connected to Allah, many people, and it's hard to recognize who to. So again, these are things that are focus of this course. It's very concise, and the goal is, inshallah bismillah, to deliver these 4 things, these trials, how to recognize and how to overcome. Again, Surah Al-Kahf, as we know from the famous hadith, is a protection from Dajjal. How is it protection from Dajjal? Because these 4 things, trials will come from Dajjal at the time, close to Dajjal and at his time. Okay, Shah business. So the link is posted in the group, in the chat. Please Do register, take benefits. It's both for brothers and sisters. It's on site, it's in person. This is an in-person program. Booklets will be provided, and it's starting from this Friday. It's in Mississauga, and on Ridgeway Drive. Okay, so very close to people even who are in Oakville and also in Mississauga, inshallah. So, and encourage people to come from all over GTA. We had in our previous things, so more you put the effort, more the reward. Inshallah. So both brothers also encourage, if you have sons or brothers or husbands, encourage them to come as well. This is very beneficial, inshallah. Yeah, Jazakumullah khairan. We'll just quickly take a few reflections before we end this class. Okay. And I encourage the reflections to be reflective and, something like an action point, and not simply reiterating facts, but more, something to think about, inshallah. For this will be helpful for yourself and everyone listening. Yes. Like
I think you mentioned how the goal should be consistent obedience to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, no matter what is happening in our life. And usually, like through trials or when we're having a hard time, and that's when we want to slip away, or we can come back to Allah. But that's like usually when we like slip away and say like, oh, life is being hard, so it's okay if I do this or that. But I think that's when I think it's like the hardest is that when we're being tested, and that's when like Allah Subhanahu wa Taala wants you to come back to him, which is the reason why he's putting it in you.
Yes. Yeah. Anyone else? Sure.
So I think what you said about how someone who like a punishment from Allah will be sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought. How you said a punishment from Allah will be like discontentment and all. And I think it's so important to recognize, like nowadays with like social media and everything, you see a lot of like overconsumption, and you're very inclined towards it as well. Like you want those things as well, and it's really hard to stay away from it. But I think maybe we need to come up with like, okay, instead of buying this, maybe I can put this money to someone who needs it. Maybe I can donate in this charity. Maybe I can help out in this cause. And I think that's a really good way of like getting away from that.
Yeah, it's very important actually that you mentioned, social media is a big thing when it comes to all four of these trials. Actually, faith, our iman, our greed for wealth, our, where are we getting knowledge from, right? Who are we following? And then power. We want to be popular. We want to be influential. All of these four things, all of these four trials are actually big root of them is nowadays stemming in from social media. So very important is that we start cutting it down. That's the first step. That because all of these three things are, especially our iman, is really getting affected from being constantly on different platforms of social media. Do you like to share?
I think the other point that you made was to how important it is to put your knowledge into action, and how putting it into action will also increase your iman. So for example, just learning the Quran, but just learning it for the sake of the knowledge and not actually putting it in action, you're not really getting anything out of it. So just a reminder to like put little things into action.
Yes. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
You also mentioned about one point that you should not be alone. Try not to be surrounded by people who are righteous. I think nowadays, like people just want their own peace and just want to be left alone. Especially kids in today's time just don't want anybody to bother them. But this is like how you feel your desires. Either it's playing games or doom scrolling, whatever you do, it's just your desires are getting fulfilled here. So for sure some kind of a righteous company at all times is required.
Yes, inshallah. So Rina, do you want to share? Anyone online?
Yes,
Yes.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I think an important lesson that you mentioned when you're talking about how Isa alayhi salam will be able to he got to study like the Injil, the Torah, and he'll be able to do the Quran. And I think like that's something to look at is the importance of the gift of knowledge to be able to understand the Quran and to have knowledge is something that a lot of people like sort of like undermine and forget about. Like even sitting here like in this sister class, being able to attend sister class is such a blessing, which is important to remember because, as you mentioned, lack of knowledge creates a lot of doubts in us, and lack of knowledge also weakens our iman and all these kinds of things. And like learning the Quran pushes us to increase our iman and helps us like take our iman to another level. So I think an important action point, important lesson is to find more ways to learn the Quran and also to implement it.
Yeah, so learn the Quran, yeah, and be happy that be grateful to Allah. I don't and should not come to this thing and the opportunity as a burden. That's actually defeats the whole purpose. Every time a person gets the opportunity to learn the Quran, should be, Allah SWT chose me despite everything that was happening in my life, despite how busy I was, or how tired I was, or how caught up I was. I was still able to make it. You should be proud of yourself. You should be grateful and humbled because Allah is one that chose us. Okay. So inshallah, jazakumullah khairan to everyone. Please do. And also, if you have joined in, encourage your friends and family to also benefit from this. Okay. This is a 13 plus. So anyone who is even in middle or high school can benefit from this course, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته